Have you ever stopped to think that, well, a simple bowl of soup could hold, centuries of spiritual wisdom, maybe some profound life lessons, and even a touch of unexpected humor? Today, we're doing a deep dive into something I think is pretty unique. We're looking at excerpts from The Secrets of Jesuit Soupmaking, a year of our soups. It's by Rick Curry, a Jesuit brother, SJ, who also has a PhD. And let me tell you, this is not just a cookbook, not at all. It's more like a window, really, into Brother Curry's life, Jesuit philosophy, and this surprisingly deep art of making soup. Our mission, basically, is to pull out the key insights, see how even simple acts can be filled with meaning for you.
And Brother Rick Curry is, well, he's quite the guide for this journey, a real character. He's been a Jesuit brother for over 40 years, but his background is incredibly varied. He's been an actor, a master baker, a teacher. He even founded the National Theater Workshop of the Handicapped, the NTWH.
Wow.
Yeah, a nonprofit acting school for people with disabilities. He's got awards from a U.S. president, the National Endowment for the Arts. His life's a real tapestry.
That's truly impressive. And, the title itself, Our Soups.
Yeah.
That phrase, ours, it jumps out. What's the story there?
Yeah, that's a fascinating peek into Jesuit culture. Brother Curry explains it himself. Official Jesuit documents, like from Rome, used to have this Latin phrase stamped on them, at usum nostrorum tandem,
Okay.
which means for the use of ours only. So over time, just saying ours became this everyday term for members of the Society of Jesus. It wasn't just a label, It really conveyed this powerful sense of belonging, of brotherhood.
I see.
So choosing a year of our soups, it was his way of tapping right into that deep Jesuit identity, that feeling of community.
Right. So it's about that shared identity, that feeling. And he also makes this interesting point early on in his note on the stories about myth versus truth. That struck me too.
Yes, absolutely. He talks about a Jesuit distinction, sometimes linked to John Courtney Murray, which is a myth is that which never happened, but is forever true.
Interesting way to put it.
It really is.
Yeah.
It means the spirit of the story can carry a deeper meaning, even if the, let's say, literal facts get tweaked a bit for effect or for a laugh. He mentions his friend, Father Jack Alexander, who apparently, when someone corrected his story saying that's not exactly how it happened, shot back, "Hey, pal, you tell the story exactly the way it happened and see if you get a laugh."
Okay.
So it emphasizes that sometimes the real truth is in the impact, in the lesson the story teaches, not just the strict historical accuracy.
That's a great perspective on storytelling. So if myths can hold these deeper truths, does that mean the kitchen itself for Brother Curry?
Yeah.
It becomes more than just, a place to cook. Is it like a spiritual practice?
Exactly that. You've hit it. St. Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, he believed that even the simplest human activities should be done for God's greater glory, right? By serving each other.
Okay.
And this was where that core Ignatian idea of finding God in all things really comes alive. And Brother Curry points specifically in soups.
In soups.
Yeah. It's about ad majorem Dei gloriam, for the greater honor and glory of God. Finding that deeper purpose, that spiritual connection in everyday tasks. Being, as Ignatius urged, contemplative in action.
And it sounds like this wasn't just Brother Curry's personal take. The kitchen actually had a pretty central role in the Jesuit community, especially for the brothers.
Historically, yes, very much so. Particularly in the time before Vatican II, the big reforms of the Catholic Church. Back then, the kitchen was really the domain of the Jesuit brother. And a good cook, they were highly valued. He says they were greatly loved and given the credit for nourishing, literally and figuratively, many Jesuit vocations.
Wow, nourishing vocations,
Yeah.
literally and figuratively.
Right. So for young guys aspiring to be brothers, learning to cook well was almost seen as a, quote, shortcut to fame and adulation.
A shortcut.
Of course, he adds, this ambition was, tempered by their formal training as baby Jesuits in the novitiate, their training house.
Right, keeps things in perspective. So a well-fed community is a happy, maybe even holy community. Can you paint a picture for us? What was a typical morning like for him in that novitiate kitchen? It sounds quite ritualistic.
Oh, it really was. He describes it vividly. Picture this. It's 5:30 on a beautiful, crisp, clear morning in October. He's on light-up duty.
Light up.
Yeah. It meant jumping out of bed, kneeling, kissing the floor, a gesture of humility, offering the day to God, and then rushing downstairs to the kitchen. First job, activate the heat, turn on the ovens, the burners, get the stocks going. He says it made him feel as though I have already completed a large part of my day's work. Just getting things started.
Already accomplished something significant.
Exactly. And the kitchen itself, he calls it sacred space. The fires were always kept alight, never fully extinguished, like those ancient Celtic hearths, a symbol of continuity, a light in darkness.
That image, the light and darkness, that's powerful. It speaks to such deep tradition. How does he connect this history to something as basic as soup itself?
Well, he tells this wonderful story from when he was researching his bread-making book in Spain at Loyola Castle. He spent a day learning bread making from a brother Ezagara, mostly communicating through gesture and silence.
Okay.
Then the very next day, another Jesuit bursts in, waving his arms furiously and yelling, apparently desperate to share his soup recipe.
Ah, couldn't wait.
Right. And Brother Curry had this realization. It is almost impossible to separate bread from soup. He talks about soup being so elemental, predating recorded history. In some languages, the word for soup just means meal or food.
It's fundamental.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for him, when he first entered the novitiate in Vernersville, Pennsylvania, soup was huge, a major part of the Jesuit diet. Always multiple pots simmering, a constant work in progress. He says it warmed and cheered us during those cold Vernersville winters and gave me the courage to go on in those early, tough days of adjusting to Jesuit life. Sustenance, comfort, foundation, all in a bowl.
So the spiritual side is undeniable. But let's talk craft. When it comes down to the practical business of making soup, what does Brother Curry say is the absolute bedrock?
Oh, he's crystal clear on this.
Yeah.
It is all about the stock.
The stock.
Yes. He calls stock the heart of this process, the literal building blocks for making truly great and tasty soups. He sees it as this concentration of flavor, but also an opportunity for creativity. It's not, he stresses, an exact science,
Right.
but the non-negotiable, the ingredients going into that stock must be fresh and flavorful. His mantra seems to be, you are only as good as your ingredients.
Makes total sense. So what's his general approach, practically speaking, for making these crucial stocks?
The basic idea is to slowly draw out the flavors from vegetables or meat and bones using cold, pure water and just a gentle simmer. Patience is key. For meat stocks, like beef or chicken, he emphasizes long, slow simmering. It takes time, he says, to really extract everything from the bones, the marrow, the flesh,
Right.
and that involves skimming off the fats and foams that rise to the top. Vegetable stocks, though, are different. He notes they do not benefit from overly long cooking. Maybe 2 hours is often plenty. And they're wide open to experimentation. Much more flexible.
Interesting difference. Now, he also touches on ingredient quality, like that old saying about an old chicken making good broth. What's his take on that?
Ah, yes, the endless discussions among soup cooks, as he calls them. He knows the Italian saying, Gallina vecchia fa buon brodo. An old chicken makes good broth.
Right.
But he kind of sees that as making a virtue of necessity. It's about using what you had maybe when resources were scarce. His argument is pretty straightforward. Good chicken makes good soup. Use vegetables you'd actually want to eat, not stuff that's heading for the compost bin.
Use the good stuff.
Exactly. Back to that mantra. You are only as good as your ingredients. Quality from the start.
So beyond the basic stock and quality ingredients, what other techniques does he use to really refine the flavors? Any specific tips?
He shares a few key ones. For aromatics, onions, garlic, that sort of thing, he really likes to lightly saute or sweat them in a little olive oil.
Why olive oil?
He says the flavors open up a lot more that way. The oil absorbs those essences and then carries them through the whole broth.
Ah, makes sense.
For clarification, a neat trick. Refrigerate the stock overnight. The fat solidifies on top, making it easy to skim off. Plus, he says, that fatty layer acts to seal in flavor while it chills.
Clever. And pasta?
Good question. If he's adding something like orzo, he advises cooking it independently until al dente.
Separately.
Yes, so it holds its shape and texture in the hot broth and doesn't just turn to mush.
Smart. It's these little details. What about the actual workspace, the tools, the environment? Does he have thoughts on that?
He does. He talks about learning respect for tools in the novitiate. They were taught that things had to last, so they must be taken care of, which meant cleaning as we went, not letting a huge mess pile up. Very practical.
Good habit.
He believes in keeping utensils simple. A good knife, a pot, bowl, spoon, measuring cups, stove. But the most important ingredient, a little peace and quiet.
Can't argue with that.
And he even brings up ergonomics. His friend Kirk Moore built him a custom 48-inch butcher block table because, as he notes, working at one that is too high or too low can put stress on your back.
Oh, that's considerate. Good practical advice.
Yeah, he suggests using step stools or even phone books to get the right height. Very down to earth.
And this focus on doing things carefully, repeatedly, it connects back to Jesuit learning principles, doesn't it?
Absolutely spot on. Brother Curry explicitly says repetition is a key concept of Jesuit pedagogy, their teaching method. The Ratio Studiorum, which is like the Jesuit educational blueprint, specifically recommends repetition as a way to learn and internalize.
So he learned by doing.
Yes, like he learned to make soups by making them over and over and over again. That repetition builds understanding, mastery. It hones the skill, whether it's cooking or spiritual practice.
What really draws me in, though, is how these recipes aren't just lists of ingredients and steps. They're woven together with these incredible stories, memories, values.
That's the magic of the book, isn't it? Each soup becomes a kind of memory trigger, a portal, like his clear tomato soup. It's forever tied in his mind to St. Robert Bellarmine,
How so?
September 17th, 1961. The day he entered the novitiate, they listened to a reading about Bellarmine, a Jesuit cardinal who apparently lived in fear of being elected pope, and they were served tomato soup for lunch. Boom! Linked forever.
Wow. Just like that.
Or the Spanish bean soup. That one honors St. Francis Borgia, who was the third leader, the superior general of the Jesuits. Borgia saw the decomposing face of Empress Isabella and famously vowed, "Nevermore will I serve a master who can die." That moment pushed him fully into religious life. The soup becomes a reminder of that commitment.
These are powerful stories connected to the food. Are there others that focus more on the community, the everyday life?
Oh, definitely. Sweet potato soup makes him think of St. Alphonsus Rodriguez.
Yeah.
He was the first Jesuit brother to be canonized, a humble porter known for advising St. Peter Claver. Brother Curry connects this soup to the St. Alphonsus Rodriguez Halloween parties they used to have in the novitiate.
Fun.
Then there's pot au feu, a hearty stew. That one commemorates St. René Goupil, a Jesuit brother who was martyred. It highlights the important, often distinct role of the brothers, a minority within the society, he says, with their own language and stewardship.
Acknowledging their specific contribution.
Right. And cream of corn soup. That ties back to Thanksgiving in Wernersville, which was in Pennsylvania Dutch country. They serve sauerkraut alongside the cranberry sauce to balance the sweetness. He saw this as a great and early lesson in acculturation, how Jesuit brothers historically had to learn local customs, often before the priests did, to fit into the community.
Adapting and learning. It sounds like comfort and connection are major themes, maybe like with his zuppa maritata.
That's a perfect example. That recipe, Italian wedding soup, is dedicated to friendship and healing. It was inspired by New York Mayor Ed Koch having a stroke. Mother Teresa visited him in the hospital and told him very simply, "You need your friends when you are sick."
So true.
For Brother Curry, that soup represents that kind of comfort, something that bridges all lands and creeds, a universally comforting dish.
That's beautiful. What about those times when things were maybe less comfortable? Like that funny story about the TV interview. It sounds humorous, but also kind of revealing.
Oh, the Hank story. It's a classic Brother Curry anecdote. He was on a morning TV show promoting his bread-making book. And the co-host, a former football player named Hank, just kept asking him if his parents were Jesuits. Yeah, Brother Curry says it just stopped him in his tracks. Total lack of understanding about what a Jesuit brother is. But characteristically, he turned it into a learning moment and the inspiration for his Hungarian goulash recipe. He uses it to emphasize that, hey, Jesuits have had brothers for 450 years, doing crucial work through manual labor, administration, teaching. It's a gentle correction through a story and a recipe.
Finding the lesson, even in awkwardness. And family clearly means so much to him. His Aunt Katie, Sister Bernard, sounds like quite the character herself.
Oh, and Katie, Sister Bernard, she sounds like a force of nature, taught 8th grade boys for decades, a huge influence. After her school closed, one of her former students, the journalist Robert Considine, wrote this column about her. He recalled her telling him he learned to write at that very desk in her classroom, not at Columbia Journalism School.
Huh. Keeping him humble.
Exactly. And then she apparently added that his good penmanship came from copying a classmate who is now in prison for forgery.
Oh my goodness, what a story.
It's just brilliant, isn't it? Shows her sharp wit and unique mentorship style. When she passed away, the Gonzaga Jesuit community served Swiss lentil, ham, and vegetable soup after her funeral. Many former students, priests, bishops even were there. A real testament to her impact.
Soup marking moments of grief and celebration, too. He also seems to connect soup making to deeper spiritual ideas, like patience, especially around Advent.
Yes, he reflects beautifully on Advent, that season before Christmas. He sees it not as passive waiting, but active waiting, really tasting the present moment to the full.
Active waiting, I like that.
And he connects patience to its Latin root, patior, which means to suffer or to endure. It's not always easy, this waiting. This leads him to think about why soup is comforting. He believes our palates have memories, and chicken soup, well, that's practically penicillin for the soul, offering real health from strong memories of love.
Palates have memories. Chicken soup for the soul. That resonates.
It's about finding meaning in that quiet anticipation, valuing the process itself.
And his own life experience, his disability, clearly shaped his perspective profoundly. That story about Pete Gray seems central.
It's incredibly powerful. He talks about his sister Denise teaching him to play baseball with one arm, inspired by Pete Gray, the famous one-armed major leaguer.
Amazing sister.
Totally. But then, one time, some overzealous father wanted to give young Rick 6 outs instead of 3 because he only had one hand. And Denise just stepped right in and insisted, "You're allowed to strike out like anybody else."
Wow, what a moment.
He says it taught him life's wisdom at a very early age, a fundamental lesson in equality and not being treated differently even if the intention seems kind. It led to his incredible love affair with all things aquatic, he says, and just as much enthusiasm for his sister.
Understand.
And he links this memory, this core lesson, to his mushroom and tomato soup. Again, linking fond memories with favorite foods. It all ties back to that Ignatian call to be contemplative in action, finding prayer even in cooking. The novitiate kitchen, he says, was a place where people take care of people, expressing something intangible, life, love, service, and carrying through the cooking itself.
What an incredible journey we've taken. Through Jesuit history, personal stories, the smell of simmering stock, Brother Rick Curry really does elevate soup making. It becomes this profound expression of spirituality, community, resilience. From ancient stock making to funny TV moments, it seems every ingredient, every interaction holds potential meaning.
It really does. And the beautiful thing is there's a lesson there for all of us right in our own kitchens. Brother Curry essentially applies St. Ignatius's advice on prayer to cooking. Find space, give time, make it your time, enjoy it, and reflect upon it.
Make cooking intentional.
Exactly. You don't need a fancy kitchen. Just create an environment in which you feel relaxed and enjoy the process.
Yeah.
His simple goal. You should feel good as you make something good. Turn the act of cooking into something mindful.
That really resonates. It reminds me of maybe his most striking story, the one about teaching that summer theater workshop. The kids, his disabled faculty.
A cool story. It's unforgettable.
Right. This little 6-year-old boy just walks up to him and asks, "What happened to your arm?"
And Brother Curry simply says, "I was born this way."
And the boy's immediate reaction?
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Brother Curry calls it the most delightful response he ever got. Pure acceptance, even celebration of difference. Such a contrast, he notes, to the discomfort adults often show.
It's powerful.
He uses it to say that people with disabilities are reminders, yes, of life's fragility, but also celebrations of difference and individuality. It's about shifting perspective.
So maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to mull over. Brother Rick Curry believes that ultimately all that really matters is where, in our own devotions, we have been able to increase by even a little the amount of love that exists in the world. As you go about your day, cooking, working, interacting, how can you infuse those maybe simplest acts with a bit more love, more service, more presence? How can you turn them into your own kind of deep dive into meaning?